Today we're going to do a warm-up. Some of the exercises that we did, multi-directional exercises we did last week, we're actually going to use as a warm-up. And then we're going to go right into one of our basic circuits, but we're going to try to add as much variety as we possibly can. All the squatting, the lunging, and pushing and pulling. So let's get warmed up and get started. We did a couple of new exercises last week where we did the shoulder movements, and then we did our standard lunge patterns, and then we did that multi-directional movement for the spine as well. So we're going to use that as a warm-up today. But let's start with our basic lunge pattern. Just follow along. So if you've done my class in person, you've probably done a million of these. If you just started tuning in and watching me as we've been doing these videos, you've probably done a lot of them too. But there's a reason why we do it. It's real important to get joint stabilization in all these different planes of motion. So think about if you're walking in the winter and you're on an icy sidewalk and you slip. If your joints are only used to stabilizing in this way, it'll support you this way. But let's say you slide out and your knee and your hips and everything doesn't have that experience of moving laterally and stabilizing, then that's when you would go down. So we want to make sure you're strong in every direction. So don't load with too much weight. We're just warming up. So later on we can do some deeper lunging. Let's do one more round. Okay, now let's work the spine. So remember, last time we used the wall, okay, this time let's just do it freestanding. So you want to focus on, we're going to do a little extension, okay, in your spine. But I don't want you to focus on the lumbar spine, okay? That's not where we want to shift our focus. Our focus is on the thoracic spine, so the middle of your back, okay? So I want you just to do a big reach, okay? Lift your chest, but your knees are neutral, okay? My knees aren't locked out and I don't have a pelvic tilt, okay? Just got a nice neutral stance, hips and knees, okay? And let's do 4 more. So just think about lifting through your chest, okay? But my knees and everything are still neutral, okay? Let's do 1 more. Okay, now we're gonna go side to side. But we're doing a side bend, okay? So don't, crank on your side there. Just nice and easy. We'll do 5 each side, okay? So now we're taking the spine in kind of the same direction that we do when we do a lateral lunge. But don't force anything, stay relaxed. And then back to center, okay? So now, keep your hips stable, feet planted firmly on the ground. Neutral knee again, okay, real important, neutral hip, okay? And then what I want you to do is just to turn, okay, but try to keep your hips square and just turn your shoulder that way. Then turn your shoulder to the right, but trying to keep your hips stable. So we're really trying to isolate that spine in this plane of motion. Otherwise, we could turn the hips, okay? So let's do 5 each direction where you really turn back to center, okay? If you get dizzy, you can look straight ahead. Just find your focal point on the wall. But if you can turn your head with your shoulder, do so. Okay, now lastly, we're gonna do the shoulders. So last time when we were doing it as an exercise, we were holding dumbbells, or if you had your, we've used bottles of water or cans of corn, cans of peas, whatever. You don't have to use weight or any resistance today, because I want just to focus on the range of motion, okay? So I'll show you from the side view. So we're kind of coming at this diagonal. The fist is just over my head here. This is the same as my lateral lunge. And now coming back into this plane, okay? So here, forward, turn my head with my hands if you can, keep the fist, turn back, okay? Warming up those shoulders, here. Let's do one more round. And there. Okay. Nice and warmed up. Now let's get ready to work. What I talked about for today is getting a lot of variety in, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to go through 2 rounds, several exercises, 1 minute each. Okay, so remember, any exercise that we're doing, and if we go for 1 full minute, I'm not going to crack a whip and say you have to go for the entire minute. I want you to play it safe. So you could pause, like if we're doing a push-up, do as many as you can. If you have to rest for a second, the clock's going to keep rolling, and then try to go back and get a few more, rest. And so don't feel like you have to go from the beginning of the minute to the end without moving at all. So let's start. We're going to do, I'll go through the exercise. We're going to do squat. Okay, we're going to do a push-up with a little rotation. Okay. And if you feel dizzy doing this or is difficult, then you can just stay with a standard push-up that we do on your stable surface, okay? But I want to go here, okay? And then third, I want to do a nice deep lateral lunge, okay? So if you are hanging on to something, think about the lateral lunge that we warm up with, and we really don't go that deep in that one on purpose, because all we're doing is just kind of increasing the internal core temperature, and we're just warming up the hips. But with this one, I want you to, since you're holding on to something, I want you to go a little bit deeper, okay? Here. Okay. Then next, grab your weight, your corn, your bottles of water, whatever you have, and we're going to do our curl and press here. Then we're going to do what I call a chop or swing, okay? So I'm not going as deep as I am with my squat, and I'm hinging at my waist a little bit more, okay? But I don't want to round my shoulders. So if you're trying to go really deep, but you have to round your shoulders to get there, then that's too far for you, okay? So just think about it. It could be just here. So it's really all about the hip extension. Okay, so here, and that's the extent of the movement. If you feel like you can go a little deeper, you still see the tips of your toes. That's important, just like the squat, and you're not rounding your shoulders over. Okay, then try to go a little bit deeper. Then we'll do our rotation, our golf swing or chop. We'll do 30 seconds in this direction. And we'll do 30 seconds in this direction, okay? So when I say halfway, we'll move, okay? So let me pull up the timer. So we've got squat, we've got push up with a rotation, we've got the lateral lunge, curl and press overhead, our chop, and then our diagonal rotation, okay? So we have a lot to do here. So let's pull up my timer, and we'll get started. And we're gonna give squats a shot here. 3, 2, 1, go, okay? Remember, you can use your surface to hang on to. If you want to step away from your surface and just do freestanding squats. Doesn't matter how deep you go. Again, I've said this many times. As long as those heels don't peel up and I lose focus of my tips of my toes, I should still be able to see the tips of my toes. So if I squat this deep, it's actually a good squat. But if I can go a little deeper and still see my toes, then try to go a little bit deeper. Halfway. Or, again, you can use your chair. You can use your chair to sit down completely and stand back up, or use your chair just to tap, use it as a target. Chest up tall every time. You don't have to count reps. I don't care how many you get. 3, 2, 1. Switch. So we're going to go to the push-up with the rotation. Remember, if you get dizzy, okay, just stay with a standard push-up. The heels do not have to be on the floor, okay? So kind of on the ball of your feet or your toes. Remember, your shoulders are depressed for a push-up, okay? You don't want to elevate your shoulders. Okay, ready? And go. Try to line everything up if you can. Make sure those shoulders stay down. You're squeezing something in between your shoulder blades. Halfway. Almost there. Three, two, one, rest. All right, our lateral lunge. Remember, see, because you're holding on to something, see if you can go a little bit deeper than you do for your warm-up. Okay, ready? Go. And we're just alternating it. You want to try and keep your outer leg straight, the non-traveling leg straight. So you get a stretch to the inner thigh. Okay. Halfway. And if it feels more comfortable for you to stay with a side and then switch, of course, on the next round, when you hear me say halfway, you can do it that way as well. If that makes you feel a little more stable. Almost there. Three, two, one. Nice job. Switch. Let's do our curl and press. And remember, you don't have to use weight, and you don't have to go overhead. So if this feels comfortable, if you have shoulder issues and it's hard to go overhead, just stay with the curl. So ready? And go. Remember, don't arch your back. So if you have to arch your back to get your arms locked, then don't lock your arms. Stay here because you want to maintain those neutral knees and hips like we do when we're warming up. Halfway. Three, two, one. Okay, two more exercises. So we have our chop or our swing, I call it. Remember, this is hinging at the waist, okay? So, ready? Go. And hold your weight. You can also put a chair in front of you and put your toes on the edge of the legs of the chair. You don't have to use any weight, and you can just touch. Stand up tall, touch. Okay, you do that's another option if this feels. And remember, don't go too far overhead. This is just a hip hinge and for hip extension. Halfway. But make sure your shoulders are not round. Three, two, one, switch. All right, so the last exercise, and then we're gonna go back through and repeat it, is our chop, okay? our swing, golf swing. So we're in 30 seconds, one direction, and when you hear me say halfway, we'll switch, okay? Ready? Go. And remember, you want to try to maintain a symmetrical squat. So when I come here, I don't want to lean too much or bend. I'm still evenly distributed over my feet, okay? And then I'm just adding my trunk rotation in there. So using the same muscles halfway as you would for a golf swing. Symmetrical squat, or evenly loaded over the feet, I should say. Three, two, one. All right, let's start over again. So back to those squats. We do a lot of squats in here, really important. Ready? Remember, choose whatever variation you want. And go. Just find a good cadence, good speed that works for you. Halfway. See the tips of your toes. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. Switch. Push up. Rotation. Ready? Go. Line everything up. If going too deep feels uncomfortable, you can shorten it up. Just don't elevate your shoulders and don't bounce, okay? So here. Halfway. Three, two, one. Okay, lateral lunge. Remember, if you want to do all one side and switch, that's totally fine. Just listen for my halfway. Ready? Go. Or if you want to keep alternating, you can. Remember, the grounded leg stays straight. Halfway. Three, two, one. Curl and press, okay? Or just a curl if you have trouble going overhead. Ready? And go. Remember, don't arch your back just to get it higher. The goal is not to get it as high as you can. Halfway. Three, two, one. All right, almost done. Now we're gonna go to our chop or our hip hinge, swing, many names. Ready? Go. Remember, you don't have to get really high with this dumbbell or the weight, whatever you're using. Because what's important is from here to here. Even though it's subtle and small, it's real important. Halfway. Three, two, one. Nice job. One more. We have our rotation. Ready? And go. Symmetrical squat. Weight evenly distributed over your feet. Remember, we're going to switch it halfway, which is now, halfway. Three, two, and rest. Nice work today. Very nice. Okay, a lot of variety there. Join us next time, and we've got some fun stuff prepared. Till then, see you later.